for a bit. I'm going to give somebody else here a chance. Why Not says she's got a lot of material for us. So I'm going to surrender to stage. Maybe too much. Well, you just help yourself.
You can take a break.
Yeah. I'm going to sit down. And if you hear any snoring, just kick my avatar around a little bit to wake me up again.
Oh, I'm standing up.
Because I'm just dead beat tired.
Well, I have one. I remember my mom taught me. There once was a man from Mandave who kept a dead whore in a cave. He said, I must admit I'm a bit of a shit, but think of the money I saved.
Oh.
So little Johnny comes home and he's got this paper to do. So he asks his daddy to help him write about the difference between theory and reality. The dad goes, all right, you go to your mom, ask her if she'd sleep with another man for $1 million. So Johnny does, and his mom goes, I suppose I would. And then his dad says, all right, go ask your big sister if she'd sleep with another man for $1 million. So little Johnny goes there, and she says, well, I think I might. So he goes back to his dad, and they sit down, and he goes, now, son, you've learned the difference between theory and reality. In theory, we're sitting on $2 million, but in reality, we're living a couple of whores. This Irishman's been at a pub all night drinking. The bartender finally says the bar's closed, so he stands up to leave, and he falls flat on his face. He figures he's going to crawl outside and get some fresh air, and maybe that'll sober him up, but once he's outside, he stands up, and he falls flat down on his face again. So he crawls home, and at the door, he stands up, and he falls flat on his face again. So he crawls through the door, up the stairs, and when he reaches his bed, he tries one more time to stand up, and this time he just falls right into bed and is sound asleep. The next day, he wakes up, and his wife's standing over him, shouting him, you've been out drinking again. How do you know, he asked. The damn pub called and said you left your wheelchair there again. Four priests board a train for a long journey to a church council conference. Well, shortly in the trip, one priest says, look, we've worked together for a lot of years. We don't really know each other, so let's tell each other one of our sins. So they look nervously at each other, but they all say, okay. So the first priest says, well, since I suggested it, I'll go first. With me, it's the drink. Once a year, I take off my collar, I go out of town, and I go to a pub, and I drink myself blind for a few days. I get it all out of my system. And they all look at each other nervously again, but the next priest says, well, with me, it's gambling. Periodically, I steal some money out of the poor box, and I go to the races. I spend it all. I get it out of my system. And the third guy, who's really nervous now, he's reluctant, but he says, well, this is really difficult. My sin's worse. I take my collar off, and I go in the red light district, pick out a woman, and I spend a week in the saddle, and I really get it out of my system. And they all sit there looking at the fourth priest waiting, but he doesn't say anything. And then one of the four says, well, come on, we told all our innermost things false. It's your turn. And he looks at the others, and he goes, well, I'm inveterate gossip, and I can't wait to get off this train. An old rabbi, seeing his son graduate from high school, wanted to know what the youth planned to do. So he called his son in the study, and he says, son, I wish to know what kind of career you're going to have. And the rabbi laid on a table a $100 bill, a fifth of Jameson's, and a good book. The good book. The good book. He looked at his son, and he goes, we need to know your future. If you take the $100 bill, you'll become a gambler. That's very terrible. If you take the fifth of Jameson's, you'll become a drunkard. And that is very, very, very bad. But if you take the good book, you will become a rabbi like your papa. Well, the young lad, he was kind of blank, and he just got out of high school. He didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. So after a few minutes trying to think, he took the $100 bill and put it in his pocket. Picked up the Jamesons and grabbed the good book with his other hand and put it under his arm and left the room. The old rabbi stunned. He couldn't even understand what just happened. And all of a sudden his eyes got really wide and he leaped to his feet, slapping his face, going, oh, he's going to become a Catholic priest. This male driver got pulled over by a cop. The man goes, what's the problem, officer? And the cop's going, you were going at least 75 in a 55 zone. No, sir, I was going 65. And his wife goes, oh, Harry, you were going 80. And he gives his wife a dirty look. The cop says, I'm going to give you a ticket also for this broken taillight. The man's like, broken taillight? I didn't know about a broken taillight. Oh, Harry, you've known about that taillight for weeks, his wife says, and he gives her another dirty look. The cop says, Hannah, I'm going to have to give you a citation for not wearing your seatbelt, too. The man says, I just took it off when you were walking up to the car. And the wife goes, oh, Harry, you never wear your seatbelt. He goes, shut your mouth, woman. The cop goes, ma'am, does your husband always talk to you this way? And she says, no, only when he's drunk.
But I'm cheap. No, he's drunk.
This pianist was hired to play background music for this movie. And when he was done, he asked when would the picture play. And the producer kind of sheepishly confessed that it was really for a porn film and that it would come out in about a month. Well, a month later, he kind of put himself in camouflage, collar up, dark glasses, a hat on. He took a seat in the back row because he wanted to hear his music in the movie. And he sat next to this couple, and they looked like they were kind of covered up, too. And the movie was even more disgusting and raunchy than he feared. It was group sex, SM bondage, and there was even a dog in it. He goes, kind of embarrassedly to this couple, I'm just here to listen to the music. And they go, yeah, we're just here to see our dog. This group of chess enthusiasts checked into a hotel, and they were standing in the lobby discussing their recent tournament victories. About an hour later, the manager came out, and he asked them to disperse. Well, why? They asked as they moved off. Because, he said, I can't stand chestnuts boasting in an open foyer.
Oh. Chestnuts
I swear the other day... Yeah, you gonna sing it?
Yeah.
No.
Come on. I swear the other day I went out and I bought a pack of peanuts, and it said on it, it says, may contain nuts. It was a warning. I thought, yeah, that's what I bought the goddamn things for. Yeah, I'd be pissed off if I opened it and the socket set fell out. This guy walked in a bar after a long day at work, and as he began to drink his beer, he heard a voice say, real seductively, you got great hair. He looked around and he couldn't see where it was coming from, so he started drinking his beer again, and a minute later he heard the same kind of voice going, you're a handsome man. And he looked all around, but he didn't see where it was coming from, so when he went back to his beer again, he hears, what a stud you are. He was baffled, and he asked the bartender, hey, what's going on? And the bartender says, well, it's just the nuts. They're complimentary.
Oh.
This man walks in the front of a bar. He's staggeringly drunk, and he staggers up to the bar, sits on a stool, burps, and asks the bartender for a drink. The bartender politely informs him that it looks like he's already drunk, and he can't be served any additional liquor at this bar, but he could call him a cab. Well, the drunk briefly scoffs and grumbles and climbs down off the stool and staggers out the front door. A few minutes later, the same drunk stumbles in the side door of the bar. He wobbles up to the bar and hollers for a drink, and the bartender comes over and he says, real politely but more firmly, I can't give you any service, you're inebriated. So again, the bartender says, I'll call you a cab. Well, the drunk looks at the bartender a minute, real angry, he curses, he goes out the side door and shaking his head. Well, a few minutes later, he comes through the back door and he plops up on a bar stool, gathers his wits, and belligerently orders another drink. And the bartender comes over and says, look, you're clearly drunk, you can't have any drinks, and either I'm going to call the cab or I'm going to call the police immediately. And the drunk looks at him and he says, how many bars do you work at? A bunch of women are at a seminar, and it's how to live in a loving relationship with their husband. And the women were asked, how many of you love your husband? And they all raised their hands. And then they were asked, when's the last time you told him you loved him? And some women said today, and a few said yesterday, and some really couldn't remember. And so they were told to take out their cell phones and text their husband, "I love you, sweetheart." So then they said, all right, everybody switch phones and read the text message that you get back. And here are some of the replies. "Who the hell is this? Mother of my children, are you sick or what? Yeah, I love you too. What's wrong?
So
much
money
now?
do you want?
Yeah. What now? Did you crash the car again?
You wrecked that car.
I don't understand what you mean.
Love? What
What
is
the
this
hell
love
did
of
you-
which you...
What the hell did you do now? Here's yours, Catboy. Don't beat around the bush. Just tell me how much you need. Am I dreaming? If you don't tell me who this message is actually for, someone will die. Your mother's coming to stay with us, isn't she? And I thought we agreed you wouldn't drink during the day. This blonde calls the airline, and she goes, "How long are your flights from America to England?" And the woman on the other end says, "Just a minute." And the blonde goes, "Thanks," and she hangs up. Now, if I'm taking too much time, I'll save the rest for later, and you can get your other people on.
Oh, no, absolutely. You can, I think it's just, is there anybody else here that wants to do comedy tonight? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Maybe Jay will.
Thinkerer said he had some, and I think
Thinkerer wants to do
Yeah, I'm available, but no, I don't have to do it.
Okay.
And
well, you may.
keep going.
Oh, keep
All
going.
right.
Why not? You keep going.
All right, I'll go till you kick me. Two guys meet up in a bar, and the first one goes, "Oh, man, did you hear the news? Mike's dead." "Oh, my God, what happened to him? What the hell happened?" The guy says, "Well, he's on his way over to my house the other day, and he arrived outside, but he didn't brake. And boom, he hit the curb, the car flipped, he crashed in through the sunroof. He went flying through the air, he smashed through my upstairs bedroom window." "Oh, my God, what a horrible way to die," the friend says. "Oh, no, he survived that. That didn't kill him at all. So he's landed in my upstairs bedroom, and he's all covered in broken glass all over the floor. And then he spots the big old antique wardrobe that we got in the room, and he reaches up for the handle, trying to pull himself up. He's just dragging himself up, and bang, the whole wardrobe comes crashing down on top of him, crushing him and breaking most of the bones." Holy shit, what a way to go. That's just terrible. No, that didn't kill him. He survived that. He managed to get the whole wardrobe off him, and he crawls to the landing. And then he tries to pull himself up on the banister, but under his weight, the banister breaks, and he goes plummeting to the first floor. And in midair, all the banister poles spin, and they follow him, and they pin him to the floor, sticking through his body. Oh, my God, that's horrible. That's the most horrible way to go. Oh, no, that didn't kill him. He even survived that. So now he's on the downstairs landing, just beside the kitchen. He crawls into the kitchen. He tries to pull himself up on the stove, but he reached for a big pot of boiling hot water, and psh, whole thing came down and burned most of the skin off him. Oh, my God, that's horrible. Oh, no, he survived that. He's lying on the ground covered in boiling water, and he spots the phone. He tries to pull himself up to call for help, but instead he grabs a light switch, and he pulls the whole thing off the wall, and the water and electricity didn't mix, so he got electrocuted. Walloped, a 10,000 volt shot through him. Holy shit, that's just awful. That's an awful way to go. Oh, no, he survived that. Hey, hold on. How the hell did he die? I shot him. What? You shot him? What the hell did you shoot him for? Well, he was wrecking my fucking house. The ship goes out to sea. It crashes, and the 6 people, it's 1 woman and 5 men, they all survive. And they use a safety raft to float to this deserted island, but after spending several weeks on the island, they get really lonely and sexually deprived. And so they come to an agreement that all the men are going to marry this one woman for 1 week. So each man has her for a week, and then the second man, he gets her for a week, and so on. So everyone will be getting sex. So they all agree to it, and this goes on 5 years. Everybody's happy. Each man gets sex every 5th week, and the woman gets to have it whenever she wants with a different man every week. Well, a few weeks into the 5th year, the woman died, so the first week's pretty bad, and then the second week's still pretty bad, and the third week's just worse, and the 4th week, things are just real bad, and the 5th week's just awful, and it gets so bad that on the 6th week, they buried her.
Oh. Oh.
Three buddies died in a car crash, and they go to heaven to orientation. And they're all asked, when you're in your casket and your friends and family are mourning you, what will you want to hear them say about you? And the first guy says, I'd like to hear him say that I was a great doctor of my time and a great family man. The second guy says, I want to hear that I was a wonderful husband and a school teacher who made a huge difference with the children of tomorrow. And the last guy goes, I just want to hear him say, look, he's moving. A sadist and a masochist, a murderer, a necrophile,
Yeah, I know.
a zoophile, and a pyromaniac. They're all sitting on a bench in a mental institution. Hey, let's have sex with a cat, the zoophile says. Hey, let's have sex with a cat and then torture it, said the sadist. Hey, let's have sex with a cat, torture it, and then kill it, shouted the murderer. Let's have sex with the cat, torture it, kill it, and then have sex with it again, said the necrophile. Well, let's have sex with the cat, torture it, kill it, have sex with it again, and then burn it, said the pyromaniac. There was a silence, and the masochist goes, meow. A man and his friend are playing golf one day at their local golf course, and one of the guys is about to chip into the green, and he sees this really long funeral procession on the road next to the golf course, so he stops in mid-swing, takes his golf cap off, closes his eyes, bows in prayer, and his friend's like, wow, that's the most touching, thoughtful thing I've ever seen anyone do. You're a really kind man. And the guy goes, yeah, we were married 35 years.
Oh.
There was a 3-car accident in Mexico yesterday. 84 people were found dead.
Oh my God. Okay, took a second for that to sink it.
Last but not least, 2 Middle East mothers are sitting in a cafe, chatting over a plate of tabbouleh and a pint of goat's milk. The older mother pulls a bag out of her purse and she starts flipping through these pictures, and they start reminiscing. This is my oldest son, Mohammed. He would be 24 years old now. Yes, I remember him as a baby, said the other mother cheerfully. He's a martyr now, though, his mom said. Oh, that's so sad, dear, said the other. Yeah, this is my second son here, Khalid. He would be 21. Oh, I remember him, said the other happily. He had such curly hair when he was born. He's a martyr too, said Mom. Oh, gracious me, said the other. Yeah, this is my third son, my baby, my beautiful Ahmed. He will be 18. Yes, the friend says. I remember when he first started school. Well, he a martyr also, said the mom with tears in her eyes. And then there was a pause and a deep sigh, and the second Muslim mother looked wistfully at the photograph. She says, they blow up so fast, don't they?
Oh,
Oh, that's bad. Bad.
What topic?